Well, residents of an encampment in a park near Dufferin and Bloor are releasing a list of demands to get them to leave willingly. Well, CP24's Steve Ryan joins us live from Dufferin Grove Park with the latest on the situation. Steve, it's been a week since that notice to evacuate the park was issued to many of these residents. What's the latest and where do things stand now?
Well, 7 people remain here in the Dufferin Grove Park, calling this place home. Those 7 people are deemed to have been trespassing as of Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And since then, the City of Toronto has been working with these residents, trying to come up with a solution that will allow or entice those in the park to leave the park and go into some sort of housing. I'm joined by Michael, who is a supporter of this group of 7. Thanks for your time. Can we talk about these demands that these residents have come up with?
Yeah, absolutely. The demands are very reasonable. It is for permanent housing solutions, and included in that permanent housing that they be a minimum 800 square feet and accessible to them, that they have the right to refuse offers that are not accessible to them or don't work for them in some way, that they not include mandatory sort of regulations or mandatory supports, anything coercive or restrictive like that, and that they are done either through Toronto Community Housing or be RGI, rent geared to income. Thus far, the city has only offered shelters, which is a system that a lot of these residents have already been through that sort of shelter system, so they are holding tight for actual permanent housing solutions, and they intend to only leave if all 7 of them are given that offer. They're staying together or leaving together.
Can you just speak briefly about the concerns about going into a shelter? Because many watching this might say, well, why don't you just go to a shelter where you've got a bed for yourself? What are your remarks?
Yeah, the shelter system is a really dehumanizing one, and one that kind of operates like a shell game where, a lot of these residents have already been through the shelter system, and they know that they will be kind of like flung around from space to space without any real housing offer on the horizon. A lot of these spaces are very restrictive. They have restrictions and curfews that can hinder their ability to access community, to access certain social services. Some of these shelters are in far-flung areas that might be very far from their family or from their work or from healthcare. And at the end of this sort of process, they are just deposited back onto the street. And once they're deposited back on the street, they no longer have the tent or belongings or community they had at the beginning of this process. When the city says they're offering indoor options, it's not like the residents here don't know what's on the table. It's usually because they've already been through this very dehumanizing shelter process and know that the outcome is them being left to fend for themselves again. This encampment here is both a decision to hold out for something better and also a way to actually build a community that provides the sort of community care and support that the city refuses to give the residents here.
Now, you have supporters of the park, clearly. What do you say to those who are not so sympathetic and want people that are living in the park removed from the park? What are your remarks to them?
I think that there are often the voices of some vocal property owners that get sort of privileged when people talk about the issues around encampments and parks. But when you look at this park right now, it's like a very open space where a lot of people are enjoying the park. I see kids using it. I see people playing sports. I see people eating lunch. I use this park on a daily basis. The desires of a few property owners don't supersede everyone else who uses this park, and that includes encampment residents who have a right to use it. A lot of people are able to use this space, and I don't think it is reasonable to just have the wants of a few privileged, a privileged few supersede everybody else.
Let me ask you real quick, I'm being told to wrap, but at some point the city is going to come in. If there is no deal struck, they're going to do a forced clearing, which they said they don't want to do, but if they're forced to do that, they're going to have to. What's your reaction to that? And are these 7 people prepared for that? I need a quick answer. They're
prepared, and supporters are prepared to show up for them. We intend to hold our ground here, and if they are threatening the sort of militarized evictions that they've done a few years ago, people are intending to respond and show up for their neighbors.
Thanks for your time. Jimmy, I'll send it right back to you. I went over my time here.
Thanks for the update, Steve.